Alright guys, bear with me while we get everything set up here. Hey Jeff, how we doing?
Hey Jeff, how we doing?
I better turn my sound off my phone if we're gonna do this. There we go. That should be much better. So we'll sit tight for a little bit. Let some people come in here. Might have to. I have to look at my phone to see what that looks like. Pretty close. Don't judge the mess in here, fellas. Oh yeah, of course, Jeff. We're just gonna kind of let people roll in here a little bit. I can kind of talk about things as we go. We spent the afternoon, well, this last hour or so, kind of making jigs for the iPad so we can see what's going on. Oh, I bet, Jeff. Don't need that yet. It's gonna get cold on us here tonight in Iowa. Really cold. Not enough stuff. I get it, bud. I get it. So we're gonna do some raccoons and some muskrat. Hopefully we can get some people in here to ask questions. That's kind of the purpose of it as we get going. I like my flushing beam more horizontal. You can't really see it very well, probably in the picture, but it hits me right about belly button. It's probably about a, I don't know, I'm gonna say 20 degree, give or take. It's nothing steep. I do want to do kind of a disclaimer. Everything we're going to talk about today is my opinion and not the voice of the Iowa Trapper Association. So it's not the association that's telling you this is how it has to be done. This is me telling you how I do it personally. There's many different ways to do this, but today we're going to kind of show you how I do it. I would recommend a good apron. I like the heavy duty beaver apron. You're gonna get enough grease and fat going that, you know, you're gonna, if you don't have it, you're gonna stain and ruin your shirt, and it's just gonna be a mess. You're gonna find that you get pretty greasy doing stuff like this. So I like the heavy duty apron. It's kind of got a double layer. up on the upper piece, kind of double protection. My personal opinion, that's what I go through. I've tried some of the cheaper aprons and don't really have great luck with them. I mean, they work, and if someone's just doing 10 or 15, they'll last you a few years for sure. But I think they're like 15 to 18 bucks. Spend 30 and you got one that's gonna last you a long time. Is everything coming through? Can someone comment? Is it coming through clear? Am I distorted? How's it coming? We're out in the garage, so I'm hoping the Wi-Fi is alright. Okay, good deal. So yeah, I like the heavier apron. I would also recommend if someone's just getting into this to get a decent flushing knife. In my opinion, again, not the voice of the ITA, this is my opinion, go with either a Necker or a Caribou to start with. They're kind of the middle of the road knives. They make some really good ones out there. I've heard Lee Steinmeier has a really good knife. I've held it. It felt great. The Weeby Elite I've heard good things about. But what I want people to kind of steer away from is some of those really cheap, I would say like $20 knives. The steel is so soft that you literally can just almost take it out with your fingernail. It is super soft. So I'm going to have to kind of, you might hear me break up here a little bit. If you can see right here, well, you can't, it's just out of camera. That's my phone where I can see the chat and see what's going on with questions. The way we got this iPad set up here to film this, I can't see anything on the iPad other than just about the top 2 inches. So bear with me here. We're doing everything we can. But so a couple things, like the Caribou, I like. It has some flex in it. If you can see that, that fits kind of my style. The Necker, it is more rigid. It's a heavier knife. Works really well. Also, both of these are good starter knives in my opinion. I still run one, but I would definitely steer away from the really cheap, kind of junkier knives. Again, my opinion, not the voice of the ITA talking. But that's about it as far as knives go. I think we're gonna go ahead and grab one to get going. So when I freeze my raccoons, if we can get this all on camera, this is exactly how I freeze mine. I fold the head under, and I'll fold the tail underneath, and I lay mine flat in the freezer. A lot of people like to roll them up, and that's fine too if that's what you want to do. I like to lay them flat. One, they freeze quicker, and two, when I go to thaw these out, they thaw very uniform. If you roll them up, you're gonna have, the outside's gonna thaw out a lot quicker than the inside. So by laying them flat, I keep my shop probably about, in the winter, 45 degrees, give or take. Basically just enough you can barely see your breath, but that's how I like it. If I'm out here working, I throw a hoodie on, and with this apron on, I'm just ready to go. So that's kind of how I like to lay them out there. Like I said, just they freeze quicker. I've heard rumors of people balling them up and rolling them that can start spoiling in the middle. Not saying I've seen it before, but I could see if you're throwing a bunch of raccoons in a freezer, it could definitely happen. That's why I run a decent amount of chest freezers, so as we're catching fur, I lay one layer across the freezer, and then I move to the next freezer. By the next day when I get there, this layer is frozen. If you were to throw 3 or 4 layers of these in a freezer, you are risking the inside ones spoiling before they actually freeze. So if some of you guys, if you go out and get, you're shooting for a bunch of raccoons and you catch, 40 raccoons, awesome, great day. You better have something bigger than just one freezer that you load full with warm fur. That'll get yourself in a lot of trouble real quick. The next step I would do every single time, which I got the camera set up the way it is, but I will brush these things out very thoroughly. I actually hang them by the nose in my on my hook on my skinning machine, and I take a fur comb through it very, very thoroughly. You would be surprised at how small of a burr will rip a hole in a fur. And I'm talking the ones that are just the size of a pencil lead, you know, the head of a pencil, the itty bitty lead. Something like that in here, hit the wrong way with the wrong force, you can rip a silver dollar size hole in it. It's very, very possible. Make sure I'm caught up on the chat. Yeah, OtterCat, so I'll actually show you guys. They have these at the trapping conventions, I mean pretty much everywhere. I always buy 2 of these every year. I wonder if I can actually get one of these out of here for you. Probably not. Well, maybe. Something that size, compared to my finger, will blow a hole in this with a fleshing knife if you're not careful. It'll absolutely just blow a hole in it. So you always got to watch and be careful and brush them thoroughly. All right, guys, I think we're ready to go. We're gonna go ahead and get this guy turned inside out. Go ahead and slide him. I like to do the back first. All fur handlers have their own opinions on this. This is something, there are so many different strategies to fleshing. So once again, this is my opinion and how I do things, not the voice of the ITA. They're allowing me to kind of show you guys how we're doing this here. Guess I should have had my knife set up already. When I skin, I don't actually split the tail all the way. So I'll go ahead and take my knife now. You can do this with like a gut hook or anything else. And I'll just go ahead and split that tail all the way to the end. Hope you guys are going to be able to see this video pretty good. We took some time to make some jigs, like I said, so the camera should be set up pretty well. Hunting stuff, I normally comb them before I freeze them, but there are times when, you know, if I just can't keep up or anything, if I'm gonna comb them, I like to do them when they're still in the carcass, when I get them hung on the gambrel. That's ideal, what I want, but it doesn't always work that way. There's a lot of times where I just kind of dust, you know, clean up where if it's really muddy or dirty, first off I try to wash them. Then once I get them dried out, I'll make sure where I'm cutting through is cleaned up. If I don't have time to just brush out the whole thing, then I'll throw it in the freezer. Earlier, I mean, getting a little off topic, but I'm more focused on catching raccoons, getting them in the freezer, and I'll more so clean them up and take care of them later. So anyway, one thing you'll hear me preach probably quite a bit in this video is keeping that fur tight. We want this tight because as soon as you have that leather ball up, that's when you're going to start making big mistakes and putting holes in it. For this particular beam style, I can get this pretty tight, but it snugs up right here. I don't know how well this will look in the camera. So I always take the nose and I pull down just a little bit, and that snugs it up right here between the ears. And this is where we're going to focus on starting. Oh good, glad you can see everything well, perfect. So, as we get started here, I will tell you, flushing, in my opinion, is truly an art. You will figure out ways and styles that fit you, just like you'll find knives that fit you. It's all about the angle, the pressure, the pitch, That's what everything comes down to when it comes to fur handling, as far as putting fur up. So most of your knives, well, they'll have a sharp side. I gotta make sure I'm in the camera here. You can see the kind of beveled side, and then you flip it over, and this is the dull side. The dull side is just for pushing, which on raccoons there's a lot of pushing fat off. The sharp side is for what we kind of would refer to as the shaving. So that's, and normally your shaving is going to be up here around the base of the neck and the front of the shoulders. That's definitely your thickest and hardest part. Go ahead and touch this blade up real quick. All right, so we're ready to dive in here. So like I said, I always take that nose and I'll pull it down. You can kind of see the ears moving as it wants to go tight. And I will start right in between the ears. This is a technique, or how do I say this? This is something that you will learn with your style. I would encourage you guys to always start as flat as you can, and then you just slowly change that pitch to be more steeper until you feel it start cutting. If that makes sense. I know where I need to be. I'm pretty steep, but I'm just doing small slicing motions to get it started. And hopefully you guys can see that that's starting to clean that patch up. I want everything from the ears back cleaned up. I know a lot of guys that work on the face. Again, my opinion, not the voice of the ITA, but I don't do anything with that. It dries up just fine, and I've never had an issue with any of it. Again, every time I come up to this beam, you're going to see me pull on that nose when I'm doing the head. So we're going to move over just a little bit more. And once you get underneath that fat, then you can kind of flatten your blade out. I'm hoping, without looking, I'm hoping you can kind of see that pitch change of my blade. Here I moved over to kind of a new area, so I went more vertical again. And then once we're underneath it, then we can kind of flatten it out. And I'm just kind of, if I don't feel it cutting, you know, if it's not cutting, then I just start changing my pitch. And there we got underneath it again. So anytime it's not cutting, you know, here we'll just do this piece right here. I'm hoping you can see this well. I'm going to keep the same pressure, and I'm just going to change my pitch. Boom, right there. That was actually pretty aggressive. But I was putting a lot of pressure on it, because this right here, I'm pretty much using just the weight of my arms and pushing down. Not wanting to cut, change the pitch. And there we go. Hopefully that makes sense. Does anybody have any questions so far? Man, you guys are quiet. You guys are really quiet. I like to go down the entire back. Again, here is probably stuff. Use the sharp side a little bit. Normally you see this red saddle that comes across. Generally, it's once I hit that I can switch to my dull side. Especially on your bigger coon, your bigger, older ones, they're going to be more gristly. And I just work on top of the beam. Do not get yourself too far over to the side, because if you have such a small surface area, you're going to run into major issues, and that's where you're going to pull a hole in it. So now, I'll pull this up and I'll continue using the sharp side. Let me back up, I'm sorry. What I do is I put my finger in the nose and I pull it down. I do not want to be all the way stretched way out here. I want my workstation to be right here in front of me. It's going to save my shoulders, it's going to save my back, my neck, everything. So I want to initially start it right in front of me. Again, we'll still stay on the sharp side, but from the sounds you heard with that gristle, you should be able to hear a very distinct change. because this, once you get underneath that saddle, this just fillets off. So this is where, actually up here, is where I'd normally turn this to the dull side, and now it just kind of comes down to force. Jeff, right? Yeah, well, everyone has their own strategies and techniques. I've had a few systems that work well for me. I've kind of taken a few ideas from other people. For instance, you want something to catch this fat in. I know a lot of people just lay cardboard down. They might throw a mineral tub down. All of it works. I really like this box. I don't know if you're able to see it here, but there's actually a hole right here. I can put a 5-gallon bucket underneath it and scoop everything into it, and it's gone. But anyway, back to this. We're on the dull side now, and this is where it takes just some force. So now I'm probably throwing 10-15 pounds of pressure behind me. One thing with this you'll see me do is at the end of every stroke I kind of roll up, because once you get down here, I don't know if you can even see that on camera. Yeah, you can. You see how it's not tight anymore. The skin is right here, and if I keep doing this, I'm gonna rip holes in it. So I'll kind of touch up on the sides. And again, even with the dull side, it's all about your pitch of what works for you. A newer knife, you won't need near the pitch as you will an older knife. I'll promise you that. But I just kind of work everything up to that and roll up. And then I'll go ahead and I'll pull that raccoon down to me again. Now, I have a lot more control keeping this thing tight. A lot more control keeping it tight. So there's a lot of gristle down here. This one, most of you probably actually know that I've seen in the chat so far. It had some kind of injury here on the base of its tail, so you got a lot of gristle and stuff. I will go ahead and switch to my sharp side, and I'm doing it just like where I started on the neck. I'm going to take this nice and easy and just fillet. But again, you got to keep that fur tight. So if I start feeling it ball up or something, I got to change what I'm doing. I'll kind of go down one side of the tail. And I kind of pivot it around a little bit because I'm not done with this side. But I like to kind of work down the other side of the tail. Some of your bigger raccoons, some of you may not know what I'm talking about, but they're almost like otter. Otter have, when you slice that tail, you have like fat pockets on each side of the tail. It's kind of hard to explain. It's kind of like pheasants. If you ever seen a pheasant with their, you pluck them or something, they have feather tracks up the side of their neck. There's not feathers all the way around pheasant's neck. There's just little areas that go up and down, but it covers the whole neck. Otters have like fat pockets that run down the side. It's kind of interesting. With some of your bigger raccoons at the base will have something similar. I'm going to go ahead and use the sharp side here. You can see, a couple puncture marks where it was fighting or whatever. This was a good one to train on because this is kind of difficult. Then I'll just slowly work down the tail. You can look, this side is pretty good, but we still got a lot of work to do on this side. Again, I cannot stress how much important it is to learn how and where to put a knife, the angle, the pitch. I'm trying the best I can to describe it, but until you get hands-on, it's going to be very, very difficult to just explain. Anybody? Questions? Nothing that I see yet. So once again, I'm going to use the sharp side because we got some gristle at the base of this tail, and I'm just going to kind of work it up. I'm not going to go crazy on this. Most of the time I'm just doing, I'm sorry. See what I did there? I do that out of just habit. I flipped it to dull side. I'll probably do that a few times and not catch myself by not telling you. But now I'll kind of go up. You hear that catch right there? Okay, so that's where we kind of stopped with the sharp side. And you can see where it's kind of catching. There's not a lot of stuff up here. But I like to take my knife and I'll just slowly go all the way to the end. And I might do that 2 or 3 times. What you actually do, you can see that fat. You're almost squeezing the fat out of the hide, is the best way I could explain it. And it doesn't matter how many times you do it, you're always going to get fat out of this hide. Okay, so now I'll sometimes clean up the bottom of my beam because you want to keep as much of this stuff out of your skirt in the lower part of the Raccoon. Now I like to go up and I'll put it on its side. Now again, if you can see this head, I want to pull this tight. So sometimes if I can, I'll put the ear kind of on the side of the beam and pull down, because right here, just my skinning style, as well as my skinner that helps me, we always kind of leave pockets right there below the ear. So I'll put that ear to the side, again using the sharp side, figuring out the right pitch, and I literally walk my knife around the ear. And you notice I'm moving the knife maybe 6 inches with each cut, but I'm only going down an inch or 2. The sharp side is more of a slice than a cut, if that makes sense. We want to actually slice this fat off on the top side. Down here I'm getting a little longer because I'm getting away from that gristly area. So sorry guys, I do quite a few of these every year, so it's kind of difficult for me to really kind of slow things down a little bit, like I'm really trying to, and explain what's really happening. Outdoor family, I appreciate it, bud. So I might touch a little bit. Once you get to the belly side, this is pretty much all pushing with the dull side of the knife. It's the back and kind of the sides is where you want to at least start cutting. The back is definitely sharp side. Then it kind of just gets narrower as you come across to the belly side. So now I can use the push. The dull side, we're just pushing. Again, 5 to 10 pounds of pressure probably. But what you're going to run into is you hear that click. Well, now it's not doing it. There. That click is me trying to fold up the leg on the back side. If you are not careful, you'll rip a hole in that very, very easily. When you come around a leg, when you come up to a leg, there, you hear that? That is me catching the knife right there, because it wasn't tight. There's a fold. Anywhere there's a fold, it wants to rip. So you got to be very careful. We'll go ahead and go around this right now. We'll come back to it. Again, dull side. I love flushing fur. It's just a rewarding feeling. Anyone that hasn't done it yet, when you do and look at your finished fur, it's going to make you feel really good. And I go all the way to the end. Again, if you notice, I kind of go up at the end. Another reason for that, if you're pushing down and then like that, you'll cut into your knife, your beam. And this beam's got plenty of nooks on it now, so especially when I'm coming to the bottom. You know, we did the tail and we did here, but you can see this fat layer right in here. I think you can anyway. I'm trying. But again, I hit it and I kind of just let the knife roll up and over. It'll touch the beam and that's fine, you know, as long as you're kind of pushing up, and I'll change that knife flatter, if that makes sense. I could do this on my beam all day long and it's not going to hurt anything. You're going to cut the hairs off the bottom, but okay, we'll switch it around, do that other side real quick. Any questions? No questions, man. You guys are experienced. Okay, again, I'll start. Like I said, I don't care about anything past the ears up front, but the way I skin, I got this big chunk of meat right below the ear. I think showed you guys pretty similar with it. Yeah, we removed that big fat on this side, so we're gonna flip it around and do it again on the other. And I don't know if it's just right-handed. There are some people that can, you know, cut to the left. I've just always done it to the right. That's just what I know, and that's what I stick with. So towards that belly side, you know, we really don't need that sharp side very much, so it's pretty easy. Once we get up here towards the back more, you'll notice it wants to, you know, you need a little more with it. And I'm constantly changing that pitch, guys. If I feel it not grabbing or grabbing too much, I'll change that pitch until I'm actually getting underneath it. So we'll pull this up again. Again, we want this tight. And if you saw what that did, pulling this down, that snugs everything up. I put my belly into it again, which tells me it's not going to go anywhere. And then I'm just, you hear that thump again, because right here, I don't know how well this will pop up, but you can see where I got it with the knife, all the way to where the fold was, and then the fat stopped it, right there. Because I was catching that, and the knife wouldn't go over it, but it's trying to rip the hide. So, we'll leave the legs for a little bit here in a second, like I said. I'll get kind of close to it there. And again, pushing, letting the knife kind of do the work. Just rolling the knife up and over the end. Same thing here. I'm just pushing until I see that white leather and just going up and over the end. Anybody have any questions so far at all? Jace? Yeah, so basically, you know, if I've got enough up here, I just fold it straight down, which you can't really see it, but it's basically just hanging straight down, and I just put my belly into it. I don't know, I got a bigger belly obviously, but you know, it doesn't really take that much. You know, if you put, I don't know, 15-20 pounds of pressure on it, it's not going to go anywhere. I mean, if I just hold my hand here, it's not wanting to go anywhere. So, but I can't even explain what the camera is. If I step back a little bit, maybe you can see. Probably not, but I set basically, I'm almost in a runner stance, if that makes sense. I've got one foot probably, there's a shoe width in between my feet, if that makes sense. I got my left foot forward, which is hitting the box, and then my right foot is back behind me. And it was almost like a runner stance, you know, if I was a runner, which most of you that know me, I'm not. But that gives me that power, if you will, because I kind of bend at the knees, and that's why I like the beam the way I am, because I can use this and I can use my arms. You guys can't really tell, but this is my back movement. That's all the back movement I've got. With more of a horizontal beam, or vertical beam, I'm sorry. A vertical beam, you're going to be there doing this. I'm not moving my arms, it's just my back moving. So, from my opinion, again, not the voice of the ITA, just my opinion, I like the horizontal beam because I can put that leg forward and use my arms, and I've got, you know, weight and momentum going forward. It works pretty well for me. All right, no more questions yet, so please, anybody that's watching, if you can, ask away. That's why we're doing this. I'm trying to stop periodically and answer anything I can. So now we get to the belly side. You got some lip here that I might try to cut out with the sharp, making small little strokes. And then I'm instantly going to flip it over to the dull side, and you can just see how easy the belly is to do. But here we come to those legs, and you can see it's catching me. Just like we did on the skirt down below, I go up and over. And you can kind of get most of that, not most of it, but the good big fat off of it. Now what I like to do, I will take that leg hole and put it right on the end of my beam. And you can see all the fat exposed real close to it. Dull side again. We'll be dull side for the rest of this Raccoon because there's nothing else here that's really going to need the sharp side. Again, arm weight is pushing this. There's no weight, no pressure to it at all. Very rarely, I should say. BJ asked a question. I'm going to say it's nothing serious. Oh, no. No, I didn't, BJ. But that's a good point. So, a fleshing knife, they will last you quite a while. I actually learned this from Greg Schroeder, who passed away. He worked at the fur houses for a long time. Boy, it's going to be hard to get this down here low enough. I got my beveled side and my flat side. I will take a steel or a stone, and I go right, maybe this will work better, right down the top of it, like 3 times. I go once down the back, and then once right down the top again. It goes against everything I've ever learned about sharpening knives, but it does the trick. I can get a knife to last me about 3 years now. BJ probably needs me to come over there and sharpen his for him again because he never listens. I'm sorry. So what I did there, you know, we had this tight. I'm going to rotate this around. So basically, we're still on that same leg hole, but we're just on the front side or the back side. And for the most part, it's good, but I want to touch up some of this. You can still get a little bit. If you look, I'm not sure how well this shows, but on this leg, we still got some fat. So I will pull that leg out, put the other one in. And just clean it up a little bit. Now we're going to push it all the way down to the sheath on the bore. Again, up and over. Now we did the tail. We've got the leg. We got the belly side. So now we're just basically got the front half and these legs to do. Again, up and over. I kind of, on a bore, what I like to do is kind of put the sheath right on the edge of my beam. So that way I can go right next to it with the knife. I'll kind of show you what that looked like. So I pretty much went right down the side of it. I'll do that on the other side, and then all I have to do is go right down below it. But right now we're going to do this leg. Like I said, everything's dull side now. I actually really like it when that leg folds up with me, because when that leg unwinds with me, I will never, shouldn't say never, not yet have I ever had it fold up, because if it doesn't, occasionally it doesn't want to, it'll fold up on you and you put a hole in it. But if it always follows me up like so, I have never yet put a hole in the leg. I don't know why I just thought of that, but again, we're just pushing everything off, letting it roll off the end. You can hear that click where I'm hitting the wood. Might be getting a little too much pressure on that. Now, like I said, switch over. We got the tail over here. This is all done. We got the leg. We got the sheath. We're going right in between them. I'll start at the sheath. Clean that off. Now we got a straight shot for the leg. Now you don't want it to ball up like that. I only want it when it comes over the knife. Because if it balls up like this, I actually pushed through. Well, there it rolled up over. But if it balls up like that, you're going to risk putting a hole in it. And trust me, putting a hole in these are a lot easier than you think. Especially when people are first starting off and they don't know how much pressure to apply. Anybody else have any questions so far? Now the sheath, I will take the sharp side, and you can kind of see where it actually pokes through the skin. I will take the sharp side. Ooh, see what I did there? Put a hole in her, but that's all right because we're going to be cutting this out anyway. But I forgot I just sharpened the knife and I haven't used the sharp side yet, so that's probably why. But I can take the dull side right there below it and clean it up. Now what I will show you with this hole, if you have a hole and you hit it, you just keep ripping it out bigger and bigger. So it's important, if you have a hole like this, if I needed to flesh around this, if this hole was in a spot that was of any kind of importance, we change everything of how we're doing this. I would take this raccoon out. I might leave him on the beam, but we are doing this almost sideways. Okay, so if that makes sense, because I want to get that hole pulled tight, and I would be taking my knife down the length of it, if that makes sense. You don't want to catch it and rip it more. There's a lot of times, like if this was on a, the spot is hard to say, but say that hole was up here, I would actually take it and I'd put it the opposite way on this, so I could flush the bottom of the side hole, the hole up. If that makes sense. It's kind of like the skirt. You know, you get the skirt clean because you can just push it right off the end. Well, if you were to do this the other way and start flushing like this, how would you get this how would you start it? You wouldn't. So that way, that hole, I will put that hole and position it every way around my beam to make it work. So there's the finished product. You guys can't see it yet. It's a pretty decent one. I'm going to go ahead and fold this one back out, throw it in the cart. We're going to do one that's a little slimier. Jeff, yes, a single-handed flesher. So Jeff said he used a single-handed flesher for that. That's something like this, I'm assuming is what he uses. And that's actually what I use on muskrats. We'll talk about it a little bit. But that would work really well to deal with those holes. Any other questions so far, guys? Oh, I got all kinds of jigs in here. I got to watch where I'm going. I'd say a lot of this group has probably just as much, if not more, fleshing experience than I do, from the people I'm seeing in the chat. So, this one, I thawed this one out. Don't tell my wife, but I brought this one inside to show you guys the difference. Because I wanted to show you, and maybe this doesn't show up on camera at all. Maybe it does. the difference between the fat on this one versus this one. This one's a bigger coon, so it's got more fat, but you can hear the difference, I think, slightly. This one is slimier. It got really warm. It's not bad. I timed this about perfectly. But you can just see how much, maybe. This one's just slimier than this one, which is just thicker. If you're flushing, you want that fat as thick as you possibly can without being frozen still. You do not want to flush a frozen hide. I appreciate it, Jeff. Yeah, we're getting a few videos out here now, but I just wanted to kind of do a fur handling one. Also, just to let everybody know, which here again, you know, I don't cut my tails all the way out after I strip them on the gambrel. So here we are, opening this tail up. I do want to mention that January 10th in Boone will be the ITA fur auction. If there is anybody in here that, you know, wants to learn more about this, I'm actually going to have a station set up in the corner, and I'm going to be flushing raccoons most of the day. So anybody that goes by, sells their fur, wants to see more of it, learn more, ask questions. I certainly don't have all the answers, but I've flushed a fair amount of raccoons. I think I can get a lot of people started anyway. So anyway, we're going to start on this guy. Again, always keeping it snug, right? We might move a little bit quicker on this one, unless someone has any questions or anything. No, Jeff, nice. Yeah, I hope you do make it to the auction. Again, sharp side right behind the ears until you get down to, you can see it, that little bit of white. That's what we're looking for. Your earlier raccoons are going to be a little bluer. And I'm going to just sharp side that one down, again, close to this saddle where it comes across. But I like to open up the neck just a little bit. Still using the sharp side. I get both ears kind of undone. And now I'm taking bigger swipes, if you notice. I kind of feel more comfortable with where I'm at on the raccoon versus up there where it's really bad. And now I can feel that transitioning to fat and not gristle. So now we're going to switch to the dull side. So now I flip it over again. Again, at the end of every push, I'm kind of letting it roll up. Now, if you guys can see this, I don't know if you can, the fat we just took off that last raccoon compared to this. I don't know if that's showing up or not. Someone can tell me because I can't see the camera at all. But when it's slimy like this, it is not very pleasurable to work. It's just not ideal. Especially if they get up to 60 degrees, 70 degrees, they're terrible. It just gets more slimy. You can see this is just slime from the knife where I put it down. Ideally, you want it thick fat. That's why if you have a shop fridge, you know, throw your frozen fur into the shop fridge for a day or two till it thaws out. And, you know, then you got the perfect temperature and you're ready to go. What kind of flushing knife? Yes, it is a caribou. Oh yes, Otis, yeah. Videos back then would have definitely probably helped out. Today we get it pretty spoiled with the learning curve that we can get. But again, just dull side, putting that, I don't know, probably 10 pounds of pressure or so. Getting closer to that tail. Always want to clean your knife off too. If you notice, I built this here just for that. I actually got a spot right here just for that. Huh, I forgot I had that from last year. Pudding fat, yeah, yeah, exactly, Jeff. It is like pudding. If you let it set up, get thicker, they're a lot easier to work. So, I guess I got sidetracked there. We are going to finish this out to the tail, like I said. I'll switch to the sharp side here because I can tell this one's going to be a little bit more gristly. It's not bad over here, but once I get right to that base of that tail, it wants to go. Then I'll switch it over and just push it off the end. I never want to use the sharp side off the end of the beam. I'm not sure how well you can tell, but we've got plenty of divots and cuts, and I mean, this thing's seen its day. I'll kind of do that other side of that base of the tail, sharp side. Oh, there we go. Yep, didn't get them brushed out enough. This is going to be a good example of this. So now I'm going to kind of clean up around it. I'm just going to kind of ignore that for now. I didn't think this was the bad one. Maybe it was. I left some burrs in one of them, but I didn't think, well, maybe this is it. Anyway, so now you really want to pull that tight. I'll try to get back behind it with my sharp side, cut almost straight down, and then curve underneath it again. Yeah, I think this is my little one. How important is it to flush the face? This is my first year trapping, so in the newbie crowd. Hey, that's why we're having this video, bud. The face, this is what my face will look like afterwards. As long as you don't have excess fat or grease, in my opinion, not the voice of the ITA, in my opinion, you're going to be just fine. I've never had an issue with it, and I've sold quite a few. What type of sharpeners do you use? Got here. So sorry. Dan, so I have an actual steel that I use, but I really like this ceramic. I think I actually got this from Dan Roberts at a convention. But I really, really like this. It works really well for me, for all my knives. So now, something that is possible, when you open up your tail from the skinning machine, or you know, when you crack it like I do, you got to be careful, because if you can tell, I don't know if you'll be able to or not, this tail has a notch right here. You can see that opening. So now, if you are not careful, you can put the same amount of pressure as I did last time. You could catch that, and this one's actually not going to. A lot of times, if you catch that, you'll rip that tail right off. Again, my personal opinion, not the ITA's. Most of the time, I wouldn't worry about it. If I had to guess, probably 10% of my tails get ripped off when I'm flushing. Unless you're going for like a tanning market, there's really nothing to worry about with that. If you're just going to the fur trade itself, you're going to be totally fine. Again, that's my opinion. You're going to have a lot of people tell you otherwise. You know, there's a lot of opinions out there, a lot of different ways to do this. I'm just kind of showing you the way that works for me and my style, and it's just kind of how I've done it over the years. I've had the pleasure of learning from some really, really good people, as well as just kind of learning my own style, if you will. So don't think that what I'm showing you is the only way to do it, because there is plenty of ways to do this. This is just kind of how I've learned and adapted over the years. Okay. Now we'll get him turned to the side. Again, I got that pocket of stuff up here on the ear. I want to clean that off really well. I'll pull him tight again. Maybe get that ear off to the side a little bit. Oh, didn't put a very good edge on it last time, I don't think. There we go. Now we're underneath it. And then I'll just kind of, like I said, work my way down the side. I'm still using the sharp side. Got a little bit here more I want to touch under the ear. Then I flipped over. Now I'm ready for the push. But you got to watch that leg. That's why I'm kind of going up and over. If you guys can see this, it's wanting to ball up right there. And if you keep pushing on it, see, well, that's a small rip out of the ear, out of the leg, but if you keep pushing on that, oh, they're not wanting to rip today. I'm actually trying to show you one, but they're just not wanting to rip. Yes, this is the great time to learn. Tug of war, what part was where you struggle with every time? I'm sorry, I missed that when you were actually telling me. Yeah, the sharp and a dull side for sure. The neck region. Yeah, so this is all sharp side. And that's why, you know, when I start this, you'll see me do cuts like this. I'm moving, well, that's about the center of the knife to the edge. I'm probably moving 6 inches on the blade, but I'm only moving the blade actually maybe 1 inch to 1.5 inches down the fur, because this is more slicing action. Once we get farther down here, you see me making more longer strokes because it's not as gristly, versus up here it's really tough, so I'm, you know, really going down and into it. But then once I get under it, we can start making longer strokes. All right, now we're going to finish off this side. Hopefully that helped you out there, Tug. PA, yeah, the skunks do rip a lot easier. It's still wanting to catch right here. You can see where that leg is. And if I keep going... Boy, they just aren't wanting to rip today. Those good, strong Iowa raccoons, I guess. But we're just dull side now. Here's about as far as I want to go. You don't want to be really overextending yourself. That's how you're going to start hurting your back, hurting your belly, laying into the beam that much. Yeah, this is the one I left stuff in for you. You can hear them in there. That's burrs and stuff that I left in. Again, just roll it right off the end. I'll do a little more before we get to that leg. Yeah, there's some stuff in there. You can hear it clicking. If you can hear it clicking and you can feel it, your knife's going over something, that's when you know you didn't get them cleaned up enough. There we go. Use my English. Come up here on the cheek again, using the sharp side. Okay, now we got pretty much the sharp side done. Now we're ready to transition over again. I'll switch to the dull. And we're just going up and over. And you should pretty well be able to clean up the top side of that leg that way. Occasionally you might have to still spin it once you get the leg on the up there on the nose of the beam. There, maybe this one will do it. If you keep doing that, yep, see? That's why you don't want anything folded. Because anytime it's folded over itself, your knife will catch it. I'll see, even heard that click. There's another one. I knew I was going to intentionally mess one of them up for you, but I did not intentionally do that one. So that's why it's important. Any burr or any folding over, you keep these things tight. You have to keep them tight. And just let it roll off again down here at the bottom. Okay, any other questions? What kind of brush do you clean debris off of the fur? So I use this, unless I get one that's just like, oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of dusty. Then I use, there it is. And then I'll use one of these. But this brush primarily for me is once the fur is done and removed off the board. This is my finishing brush, if you will. This is my, let's get the dirt out, let's get the burrs and all that stuff out. Typically. Okay, now we're ready for the belly side. And again, you can see how much greasier this one is. I hate it. I mean, even my glove is just a mess, but sometimes you can't control it. You know, you thaw them out. Maybe you just have the shop floor to thaw them out on. You do what you can. See, even up here with this chin, it wants to fold like that. If you do that, you can hear that clicking. You know you're pushing too hard in the spot where it's folded. And that's not what you want. So again, we're going to go kind of on the inside of that leg. This is where I put the little hole in. And there we got another one. But then I'll kind of just clean up in between them a little bit. Go over the top of it, kind of push a lot of that stuff off behind it, kind of open up my leg a little bit. Now, this is what's challenging. If you do rip open that leg hole big, now you risk, when you put it over this beam, of ripping it further. So that is where I will take it, and I'll kind of, like I showed you before with that other hole, I'll kind of do it from the side. I hope this shows up on camera. But I'll do it from the side because I want to flesh along the cut and not into the cut, if that makes sense. Same thing on the other side, which this side is clean, but we would be going along the side of it like so, instead of into it. I hope that makes sense of what I'm trying to say. All right, Jeff, thanks for stopping in, man. Then we'll just kind of keep working. You know, there's the sheath again. We'll kind of go down alongside of it. Go down here and push stuff off the end of the leg. There we go. I love it when it folds up and over because I know I'm not going to tear it. I don't know why. Now I'll kind of get that other leg in here. Go around that hole a little bit. Put the sheath on the side again. Go down the side of it. And you will have to readjust. See how that leg is falling off the side? If you can see it. I don't know if it's up far enough or not. But that leg's falling off the side. You don't want that. Center it up. You want it right in the middle. Because once it starts to fall over like that, that's what happens. Which, yeah, this is the one I did not brush out because I want to show you guys what holes will do. Although this is actually harder to put holes in than I thought it'd be. occasionally, if they had some damage on their foot or something, or their leg, or got hit by a car, you'll kind of run into this, like, really thick membrane here, like what we're doing. It's like scar material. Then we'll switch over here again to the sheath. I'll go right straight down into it, right behind where it goes through the leather. And just push it off the rest. Then we'll trim this up more when we get it on the beam. Any questions on that so far? You guys are too easy. Again, the ITA auction is January 10th in Boone. We're going to have a station set up, so if someone wants to show up and just watch and learn as we're fleshing some, they can ask questions and everything else. So be a good spot to sell your fur. They got, I'm not even sure how many buyers we'll have this year, but normally have a half dozen or so buyers there competing for fur. All right, I'm gonna do one more raccoon for you. I made sure we found a sow, because that can be kind of a delicate situation, flushing out around them. My chat behind, or are you guys just not asking questions, man? Any question at all, guys. That's why we're doing this, is to get, you know, answer any questions we can, help anybody out. Okay. All right, so we'll do this one kind of a little quicker until I get to the belly side. Again, sharp side up top around the head and neck. Almost straight down till I get underneath that. And then you can kind of see my knife pitch change. I would like to see the process from trap to fur buyer. Well, that's the thing. We probably could do something like that. Someone could anyway, because I'm not sure where I'm selling my fur this year. But yeah, so again, back and forth the sharp side, clean off that back. I flip it over to the dole. This one I'm kind of doing a little more normal speed, at least on the back side here for you fellas, so we can keep this video rolling so we can get to boarding and muskrats. Go and take off the bigger chunk of that. Still want to keep it tight though. You do not want to let this thing fold up on you. See that consistency of fat compared to the last one? Huge benefit. That last one was slimy. All this stuff is just pulling right off. So temperature of your fur that you're finishing is very, very important. Again, I'll go all the way to the end of the tail. Not much down there, but I'll do it anyway. Might even try and do a little bit of just get the grease out of the side of this tail. This one really got greasy. Flip it to one side. Any other questions yet? How many raccoons have I done so far, PA, this year? I don't know, about 30 or 40. Just joined. How clean do you try to get the faces? Shield Outdoors. That is where my flushing starts. Is at the base of the ears. Here in a little bit, I'll be able to show you a little better when we get this up. We'll get the camera changed to position 2 when we board these and show you a little bit better if you're still around. But yeah, basically I don't want any big chunks of fat on here. Chunks, whatever. So I'll clean up here below the ears, because I always leave something at the base of the ears. And I kind of clean up the cheeks a little bit, but that's the extent of it. Again, this is all my opinion, not the voice of the ITA. Everything I'm sharing today is my personal opinion and experiences and how I do things. Not saying it's the only way or the right way, but it's worked for me, and I flush a decent amount of coon every year. So again, we're going to kind of hurry up on the side pieces. PA, we'll talk about my personal trapping stuff on my channel later, buddy. We'll do something on there a little later, but some other time. Right now, just showing you guys how to flush raccoons. Again, this one's kind of more closer to full speed because I want to keep this moving for you. We'll slow down when we get to the belly on this one. So now we get to the belly. Again, we'll start with the dull side right below the chin. This is a very, very good fat consistency right now. We'll kind of roll it up over those legs. I'll take that leg like I showed you, put it in the top of my beam. And now this is where you got to start being careful on a sow. You can see the first one popping through. I actually, you hear it, hear me hitting it? I actually will take my knife, go right below it and clean up. I'll take it to the side and clean up. And I actually just almost do like a full circle around them. You can see the second one, get below it, get to the side of it. And then I might take one light pass. Occasionally, you can just rip them out without ripping the fur. And I really don't want to rip one out because this is a really nice coon, but I might do one to show you. Yep, there's the other one. You heard it? So kind of that. See that one? I ripped that one out and didn't rip the fur, but you can see where it started to. It kind of wanted to. But, you know, you get in a hurry, you start running hard, and you don't even realize it, so. My process while attempting to make it look like yours. Coyote Stalker, and this is something, it takes experience. I will tell you this. When I first started flushing fur, I ruined... My first year, I probably ruined 10 or 12, and I said, not doing this anymore. I was so frustrated, I quit. Then the next year, I said, I'm going to stick with this and do it. I ruined 10 or 12, and I quit. The next year, I tried to really convince myself, and I stuck with it. If you can get past that 10 to 20, you start learning this, and the art, and the angles and the pitch and the speed, the slicing motions, the distances, you really get it figured out. And that's when you get a lot of pride, is when you can sit there and look at that finished fur. Here's ones down at the bottom. I'll show you. Maybe this will work. But even if this is tight, you hit one of these. That was really small. It is nothing to hit this and rip a silver dollar, especially one of these upper ones. It's very, very easy to do. Again, just letting that knife ride up at the end of the beam. Do this last leg with the upward motion at the end. Keeps you from digging into that beam. There we go. All right, and that is our finished raccoon. I know we had a couple questions about the head. That's what the head's looking like when I'm done. It's free of any major fat pockets or meat pockets. This little stuff up here is going to dry up just fine. Under these ears, we had those big, I don't know, they're probably half-inch thick pieces of globs. We cleaned them up. I hate fleshing raccoons when I started, but now it's one of my favorite furs to flesh. Exactly, PA, exactly. Any other questions on fleshing raccoon? Otherwise, we're going to flesh some muskrats. Then we'll move some to position 2 for the camera, and then we'll show boarding and the process with that whole deal. Anything at all, please let me know. All right, well, we will move on to some muskrats then. All right, so muskrats are easy. They're quick, and there's just something about muskrat. It is a beautiful fur. I just love muskrat fur. Need to have my wife make me a pillow out of it or something. I don't know. But anyway, a lot of my muskrats I actually won't even put on the beam. If they're smaller, I pulled 3 bigger ones out to show you guys this. This is actually a really fat muskrat. Most muskrat do not have this much type of fat on them. They do not need a lot of brushing out. Muskrats generally are pretty clean. Again, all my opinion, not the voice of the Iowa Trapper Association. You're going to hear me say that a lot. It's my disclaimer, so no one comes after the association saying this guy said do this or that, because that's not the case. This is all my just personal opinion. But anyway, feels good to flush one of my muskrats from this year. I like that. It doesn't really matter to me which side I start on. I typically probably do the belly side because it has the most fat. Now, muskrats are not my bread and butter. You know, I flushed several of them, but nothing compared to probably what I've done in coon over the years. But I take a one-handed scraper, I hold the tail, and I just work the sides, because there's a lot of fat along your skirts. I work the sides back to me, which I'll talk to you about why I do this here in a second, but you can see how that cleaned that side up. This is a very fat rat. The rats we caught this year were way healthier than last year, but again, cleaning up that side all the way up again. And now that bottom and that tail is pretty well done. I might take my knife and clean out a little bit of the rear end that's still left in there. But other than that, it's good to go. I start flushing rats last in success, but still not sure about doing raccoons. Yeah, so raccoons, they take time. You just have to have patience. And it's an art. It really takes time to learn. Just don't give up on it. All right. So, now that we got that done, I will, generally the back side's not too terrible. There might be a little bit of fat up here, kind of on the corners, but it's really pretty clean. You can see on the belly side for sure. Well, maybe not. All rats have this membrane on them. This meat membrane that covers the whole thing. You can really see it right in there, that red. You are not removing that. You want to leave that on the muskrat. Muskrats, primarily, you are taking off the fat pockets. That is it. So once I've done, you know, the stuff around the belly and the genitals, I will take that knife and I put the rat on its side. So here's the leg hole. I grab the bottom of it and I'm working up. Now, this is probably different than what a lot of people will show you. But this is the reason why. Because right here, now we're on the other side of that membrane. That meat membrane kind of comes around the armpits. There's a little bit of fat underneath here, which I don't know how well it'll show up in there. But I will try to get underneath that a little bit. There, you can see I pulled a little more up. Worked around the belly side just a smidgen. Go up and over the leg. But that is all the membrane I want to take off of that. And for my system and the way I do it, if I was to flush this the other way, I do not want to be pushing down on that membrane. Because now I just don't like the looks of it. It's trying to roll that membrane off. I'd rather pull with it. And then there's this nice smooth transition up, if that makes any sense at all. And it might not to a lot of people. Anything different? Hotness stuff, yes. Muskrats are very delicate. I know people that actually use spoons on them, believe it or not. So they're very delicate. You can see, like, we can pull up this little membrane stuff. I'm not worried about that. I'm letting that dry out on there. It's going to be just fine. In my opinion, I've never been docked for it. Just jump in there and start. The first 100 are the hardest. Yeah, Ottercat, you're right. I mean, the first 20 are your hardest, then it gets easier. Ruger, yes. So this video, we are going to let this stay on the channel so people can come back to and look at it. This one will not be deleted. Ottercat used to scrape them with a spoon. Yeah, I know a lot of people that did. Anyway, back to it. We're going to get up here. And I'm not doing much. Just taking off kind of the, I don't know what you call it, like the lymph nodes or something alongside of the head. And that's it for one side. That rat is completely flushed out. And this is a really fatty rat, so I might try to get some of the stuff off the back. Like up here at the top. You can see we got a little bit of stuff. But typically, most of your rats don't have much outside of the skirt, around the groin area, and the armpits. Again, basically just working up. Get up here to the armpit, get some of that fat out from underneath the membrane. Then I'll go down on this kind of lymph node cheek stuff. Might spin it to its belly a little bit and do the same thing on the over here, but what I don't want to do is start pushing that membrane down and loosening it. I want to keep it pulled up. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. That's it for a rat. These things are very simple, very easy to do. Very easy. Tug, I don't think I've ever actually sharpened this, ever. It's a very thick bladed, where's the camera? There it is. I mean, it's, boy, getting this at the right angle at the right pitch. There we go. It's thick. So, it doesn't even have an edge on it. I mean, there's no edge there to cut you. It's just a a scraper, like a hog scraper, I think is what they call it. But yeah, very, very simple. Okay, so is there any other questions on muskrats? I might do one more, just because I have one more done. Sorry, I'm just touching up on these legs, touching up on the top side. Just a habit. You sit here and start looking and you find stuff. But any other questions, or do we not want to do, or do you want me to just skip to boarding? You guys tell me what you want to do. You have 30 seconds. If I hear rat or boarding is what we're going with. All right, we got rat. Okay. Got one more rat here. A lot of the rats I caught this year were a lot bigger, which is good. Makes it easier to get on this beam. I do actually have a muskrat beam that's made for muskrat and mink that's narrower. I've just never actually used it yet. But again, I'm grabbing the tail. This one we're actually starting on the back. It doesn't really matter. I'll take it, and I work right up that side, because if you can see, there's a good pocket of fat that runs right down that fur line. So by doing this, get my arm out of the way for you guys, we can pull all that up. And it's just like me with that hole on a raccoon. I'm not going to get any of that fat off by going, you know, into it. I want to go with it and pull it off of the side. I'll just go ahead and clean up the back a little bit on this one. Ain't gonna take much. Then again, I'll twist it over, and you can definitely tell the difference between the back and the belly. The belly is where it's all at. I'll come up. There's one side clean, and you can definitely tell the difference. But I really like this scraper for this. Okay, now the whole bottom end's done. I'm going to go ahead and turn it to the side and bring that fat all the way up. Then I'll do the top of the leg just a little bit, because there is just a little bit up here on the top side. Rats dry super quick, so it's not the end of the world. The biggest important thing here is you leave this membrane on. My understanding is what I was told, and again, this is what I was told. This is not the voice of the ITA. Was that some of those hair follicles go into that meat, and if you take that off, you'll start losing hair. I've never done that myself to know for sure, but that's why I've been told to leave that on. Again, we flip to the other side. Go right up there to that armpit. Get underneath it well. Come back down the top of it, which you guys probably can't see very well. I'll try to angle it a little bit better. But I'm basically just getting the top side of that armpit. All right. Any questions on the rats at all? Do I cut the little flab on the stomach at the end? Are you talking about this? Or are you talking about this? Because we can trim that out. I normally do that on boarding. But yes, if there's a little bit left of the intestines or something on there, definitely cut it out. It's not the end of the world, you know. But normally I'll do the finishing touches like that when we're boarding. Yeah, Ruger, everything's just a little bit different, but the same principles apply. All right, so now we are going to go to boarding. This is the fun part. Now I got to figure out how to transition you guys. Okay. I think we're where we need to be. I guess I gotta look at my phone to see. Sorry guys, bear with me. I knew it would be a process. Okay. All right, so we're gonna start with Raccoon. I use wood for everything. I already have predetermined marks for my sizes, so I know exactly where I need to get it to. If I'm, just a little bit short, you can pull these a half an inch or so to get your length. You're not going to pull it, from here at that 1x and pull it an inch and a half or a 2x. You're going to start damaging stuff. But this is kind of, shows you, I built this jig here. This is just to hold everything in so it's right in my face where I want it. Any questions on the boards at all? I got most of mine from Scott Webb. He was a ITA director who passed away, I think about a year and a half ago now. But I know there's several other places that make boards now. There's a few options out there. All right, so I will go grab a Raccoon. There are many pros and cons. Wire, wood, everyone has their own preference. I'm not going to tell you what to do. My opinion, like I said, mine, not the voice of the ITA, is I like wood. Wood makes, in my opinion, you can possibly gain a size. I think I had this set up to actually film from this side, if I remember right. Give me a second. I'm going to see what this looks like in my camera on the phone here. But I think I had it set up to do it on this side. But you can see that nice white leather. This is a later season coon. You can see a couple bite marks. Got in a fight with something. Not the end of the world there. Probably won't get hurt too bad on that price. So, if you guys can see where I'm at, what I like to do, which you don't get to see the top of this, but I always put my fingers in the leg holes, and I'll pull down, and that kind of just tightens up the head up there. And I can see my mark right here for a 3X. we're going to go ahead and I will make sure that we hit that 3x mark. The cons with wood, this is time consuming. The boards are not cheap. And you know, I'll get all kinds of calluses on my fingers from pushing and push pins. It takes a lot more time. Wire is way quicker. Generally, stretchers are probably a little bit cheaper. But you can also sometimes lose a size, because I don't have a wire here to show you, but your wire pulls down here and on the tail. Well, when you sell a fur, a finished fur, they measure from the highest point. Where do you think that highest point is? If you had to guess, maybe I should work from this side. I think this side might actually be better for you. Where do you think that highest point is? As this dries, which I can't hold both the tail and stuff down, it's going to roll up here, right? So right now, it's right, 3x line is right here. We are not to that 3x, maybe we are just a little bit, but it's going to curl up and dry and shrink up, possibly losing that 3x. Oh yeah, this side's definitely going to be better for you. I apologize, guys. I'm working with this, trying to figure it out. So, but with wire or with wood, we can make sure that doesn't happen. Now, again, my personal opinion, not the ITA. I like to scrunch all the fur in the back, really making it look full. You have a product here. That product can only lose value once you've touched it, once you've harvested it. That fur is at its absolute highest value as soon as it's caught. Everything you can do to it can only hurt it. You cannot turn a $20 coon, or you can't turn a $10 coon into a $20 raccoon, but very easily can you turn a $20 raccoon into a $10 or a $1 raccoon. So I always start with my push pins here right at the base of the tail. I'm looking here to see my 3x number, and I've done this a few times to know I know where to center this to where I can do that on both sides. I'll push that in, and that's remotely centered. And you see this little bubble. This is going to help make things look full and look heavy. It's not, in my opinion, it's not, you know, any type of shadiness or anything. It's just showing the full potential of that fur, if that makes sense to you. Maybe I should switch to the other side. You guys tell me, is this side better or the other side? My phone's delayed on when the video comes through, so what side works better? This side is A, the other side is B. PA says either, doesn't matter. Okay, Otter, I'm just trying to make sure you guys can see exactly what I'm doing here. So what I'll do now is I'll take the next push pin, and I like to go, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch to an inch apart, and I pull it to it, and I set it right next to it. Again, go over, push it right to it. And I'm always pulling out my wings. I call them my wings, which is my legs, because I want to keep these balanced, okay? I don't want one of them to be this long and then the other one, you know, is right here. You want to keep these very, very equal. So again, pull it up and go over. Check my wings. And this whole time, I'm keeping in mind where my 3XL line is. I'm just about a 1/4 inch below it, which this one was easily on a 3X, so I'm not too worried about it. I'm not stretching hard, not pulling too hard, none of that. So again, I just keep pulling fur towards the middle. Checking my wings. I can read pretty good now, guys, so if you have any questions, let me know. Okay. Now, since I'm on the back side already, I'm going to do the tail. I like to, you can see kind of the, I call it the flange almost, the wide end of the tail here. I'll push in that. I'll kind of go up a little bit. I'm not trying to push it up much. But I like it. It needs to be open, okay? It needs to be very open. And then basically I'm just going to, I pleat the tail. Pleating is something, it's not needed. It's a personal thing for me that I just like the looks of it. I could pin this tail out straight all the way down here, but to me it just looks weak and flimsy when you do that. My personal opinion. But if I pleat this up, basically I'm going down a couple inches, pushing it up a half an inch or so. It does take a little bit longer to dry this way as well. But I just feel it gives it a heavier, thicker look to that raccoon. Again, strictly my opinion, but that's the pleated tail. Any questions on that so far? So now what I like to do is I will take that hog scraper that we just did with the muskrats, and I take this and I go all the way from the ears, and I will just scrape off any residual oil or fat that I have. And you can see we're getting a little bit of a buildup here. It's not normally a whole lot, but anything that's left on there is just more to take it time to dry. So now I'm ready to turn it over, and we're going to focus on the leg side. So we got our two legs. I always start on the outside, and this takes some time to learn, you know, where you want to position these. But I'll do both of them on that outside. You know, you want to keep them fairly symmetrical. I'm trying to move that one out probably. And then I will do kind of the inside of that leg. And just like so. So now I will once again take that one-handed scraper and I go up and down this whole thing. This is that sow. I'm not too worried about catching anything and ripping it with this, but it will kind of go over any minor imperfections and get more fat off it. Are you planning on going to Raccoon when it warms up? No. Yeah, I'll probably do some trapping here at some point. I'm just not sure when again. Can you see the leg holes in this? Or is it? No, leg holes are too high, so we'll do that here in a second. But what I will do is, so this is your inspection window. This is what they're going to open up when this dries to see what kind of quality you have, okay? This is where all it's at. It's big enough here. It's fine, but what I want to show you is just to clean it up, okay? So I will take my finger and I will grab just that lower like 1/4 inch. Again, my opinion, not the voice of the ITA. I will cut in. And now I'm basically just going to go within 1/4 to 1/2 inch all the way around each leg. I'll go down below the push pins, and I'm going to come across the bottom. Now, which side looks better? This side has all the fat and kind of grease in it. This side is nice and clean. Take pride in your work, and you know, you're selling a product here. You want to look as nice as you can. So once again, doing the same thing on this side, just cleaning up basically the edge. I'll get down here below the push pins, square up that foot, and there we go. When it comes to the legs, I haven't done this when it's not in the jig for a while. Might not even be able to see it. I will take the legs and I pull up. Boy, yeah, this is kind of awkward for me here. But basically I'm just taking off a little bit of the leg where it won't fold over on itself. Just trying to make them look clean and pretty too. Normally I do this with this still in the jig, so bear with me. Same time, we're going to cut that lower lip off. I kind of clean up the cheek a little bit, curve underneath it, come up, and there. Ooh, no, this is not our finished product. So I want you to see. Here's our push pins, right? Our line. I told you the measure from the highest point. I want to grab and pull down. And because they're gonna, if you were to take this, you know, the auction house or something like that, they're gonna measure from that highest point. So I'll go ahead and pin around so those legs on the sides, I think you can see that, stay where they need to be. Even this little round up point right here, when it dries, it's going to shrink up. So yes, you go through a lot of pins, but boy, when you're finished product, it'll look really good. Now, the next most important part that many people forget, the belly board. You have to put a belly board in these, otherwise you're going to be in big trouble. I hang these by the lip. I hang them up on hooks. Ideally, you could drill holes in the bottom of your boards and hang them upside down. That way when they dry, all the grease runs up to the head and comes off instead of running down into this, especially on the back side. But I take mineral spirits. When this is all dry, I will take mineral spirits and clean all of this up. So I'll brush out the inside, clean it all up, and it's ready for market. Any other questions at all on the put up of Raccoon? Nothing at all? Well, then I will show you a couple of other things on a Raccoon then. So, this is one I did yesterday. I think you can see, which I can't see on this camera either. You can see this white here, these little white pieces, and in the tail. Let me know if you guys can see that, because my phone is way behind. Oh, there we go. We can go to live. There we go. Hey, that's way better. I think you can see this. Either way, I'll bring it back to you guys. There we go. Now I know you can. You can see the white in here. So we just did this one yesterday. That is fat that we missed, okay? This is perfectly acceptable. This will dry out, this will bleed out and run off as it dries. I have a lot of people say they see this after a few hours and they think they messed up, it was terrible. No, that little bit is perfectly acceptable. Something else I want to show you on this one. This spot right here, this actually worked out perfectly for this video. I fleshed this when this was frozen. So I don't know what happens, but there's ice crystals in the fat still, and I fleshed it. And this will stay this odd color. I don't know if it hurts the value or not, but it does not look good, and I don't like it. So that's why you do not want ice crystals in it. You want it fully thawed, but as cold as possible, if that makes sense. But other than that, all this other little milky spots you see, those will bleed out and be just fine. The next example I got for you, well, let me see if there's any questions first. PA, when did I start pleating the tails? I've pleated the tails for a very long time, pretty much since I started putting up fur, probably 15 years ago or so. So here's one I want to show you. This is one of the first ones we did. Yes, I made a little nick in it. I think this is the first one I did this year, so don't judge. But with this tail pleating, the last spot to dry for me is right here on this tail. And if you could come up here and that is dry, your raccoon is dry and ready to come off the board. Sometimes down in here might get a little soft, but you know that you do not want to take it off too early and stack these up and they're not fully dry. So that's kind of all I got on Raccoon. You know, like I said, I'll take all these push pins out. I'll take mineral spirits over this whole thing, wipe it off. I take a brush on the inside, I lift the legs out, and I take that finishing brush, and I brush all the fur to the inside, make it look fat, make it look full. Anything you can do to help market your own fur. Is there any other questions on Raccoon fur handling? Otherwise, we're going to go to muskrats here real quick before we finish this up. Any questions at all? All right, you guys are easy. So I will take muskrat. Very similar to raccoons. I don't have all my boards here. Well, don't judge the crooked lines. I did this many years ago before I figured out how to do this a lot better. But they all have their sizes on them. Wood versus wire, once again, most of your buyers are going to tell you that they want wire. I do not understand why, but most of them are going to tell you that. Uh-oh, we still coming through all right? I was buffering on my phone. Are skunks and possums same as doing a raccoon? Yes, Pest Hunter, except they're a lot thinner skinned. They are a lot thinner skinned. So I typically don't do this on the jig. I'll typically do it by just kind of, I'm at a crooked angle now, but I'd be at a straight angle, and just putting my weight into it and pulling down. And see, this one has a hole in it. I don't know if I did that or if it was already there, but. So this one will make it to a 2X. So, you know, traditionally everyone wants to think, oh, you pull down on the ends. You know, pull down on the tail, pull down on the tail. For me, I get kind of a judge of where I think it looks like it should be. And I'm going to put a pin in the sides because once again, this is only as big as the highest point. Hold on, that wasn't even close to centered. I can't handle that. Let's try this. I'm really bad with muskrats getting them centered, so don't judge. There we go. That one's not too bad. So now that we got the edges done, I actually kind of work my way in on the sides of muskrats. Again, this is my personal opinion, not the voice of the ITA. And muskrats are definitely not my strength by any means. But this is kind of how I do muskrats. Adjust that one a little bit. And I'll show you a wire here in a second because I do have plenty of wire for muskrats. So now I'll take that belly side and this is the side I might tug a little bit on, not much. Then I also like to kind of just pull that sides down just a smidgen. I'm not trying, the belly side will rip very, very easily on you. So you really don't have a lot of pressure on that. I do want to clean up this little fat pocket. Yeah, I didn't think it was attached, but get the legs centered up. With any fur, you do not want to have where the legs are so long they fold over on each other. Because if they fold over on each other, you will have rot underneath. So on all my furs, I just make sure that those legs aren't touching. I got a little bigger than I like it to be, but it is what it is. That's pretty much it. I'll throw a belly board in this too. Oh, that didn't stick in. I'll throw a belly board in this one. I might actually pin that hole shut, just because it's kind of bothering me. I mean, it's going to be noticeable anyway, but it just still makes it look a little bit better. Man, I'm really struggling with this one. I just ripped the eye trying to move it. Any other questions on the rats? So then I will show you a comparison of wire. There's the wire structure. Oh, wrong rat. You guys are quiet tonight. Okay, so we want the rat inside out again. And for this, I don't know how you'll be able to see this, but I typically hold it against me. I'll pull it over. I grab the belly and the tail, and I simply spin this thing into the position I like it. Now, what I will do is I will take my knife. I don't know if you can see this or not. But I will take I'll poke little holes right in the tail. This is why it's very important to leave some tail on muskrats when you're skinning them, because that leather is so thin. It does not like to hold if you do hooks. But I can throw that hook right through that and then pull down. Same thing on the belly side. Sorry, I'm trying to do this so you guys can actually see what I'm doing. Made that hole. Put the hook in it. Pull down. Now, this is the stuff that I don't like. Me personally, I like everything to be uniform, right? I like the same size and everything. You can get this a lot longer if you squeeze and pull. That's probably about the most I would do right there. There's some fat up here I missed. I don't want this. You don't want it narrow. If you start pulling it, you know, because you can really get this thing narrowed down. They're gonna start docking you. So this is probably about where I want it. But again, they're gonna measure you to the highest point. What do you think happens with this when it dries? These sides are gonna creep up. This middle is gonna arch up. So, a little trick I learned a few years ago. A lot of people have been doing this for a lot of years, but I just learned it. Is I will pull that down and put a clothespin on it. Now, which you can't see because the clothespin's there, but we got a solid, probably ½ an inch lower, and it's going to help hold that in position. And then we're ready to hang this thing upside down and let her dry in a few days. So, any questions on the wire method? Very quick and very easy. Just like with raccoons, wire would be way quicker. I just don't like the looks of it, and I will show you the difference. So here we got us a muskrat from last year. So it's a little stale, not crazy, but it's a little stale. We vacuum sealed them in the freezer. And here's a muskrat I just did from this year. So the color is kind of the difference between last year and this year. But what I want to show you the difference is the fullness. Okay, we put these side by side. We've got wire and we've got wood. Which one makes you think of just a heavier, nicer fur? I personally like the wood. Again, my personal opinion, not the voice of the ITA, but I really like that. Wire just seems to make things look thinner and not as heavy. That's my personal opinion, but wire is so much faster. So that's about all I got for you guys. Is there any other questions on what we've done or seen tonight at all? Otherwise, we're ready to wrap this up. So, again, the ITA fur auction is January 10th in Boone. I'll get some details out on the channel, as well as on Facebook. And if anyone has questions on finishing fur, we'll be there off on the side finishing raccoons all day. So if you're there, sell some fur before or after, swing by, maybe pick something up, and go from there. But is there any other questions with anything before we shut this down? All right, guys, you've been very, very easy to handle. So that's kind of the flushing in a nutshell. You know, finishing fur, you have an option at the fur buyer now. If you thaw out, you know, say you're getting bigger into trapping and you catch 100 coon, now you got to thaw them all out, bring them to the fur buyer. If you don't like the price, it's harder for you to take them home, because you got to throw them back in the freezer, and you can't just do it all at once because they're already thawed. You'll risk decay. With finished fur, the only thing you have to worry about is bugs and mice. Bugs you won't have to worry about here in Iowa until April-ish, give or take. You just keep them out of the mice. They might kind of go stale on you if you keep them in the summer somewhere, but you know, there's a lot of options here. But all right, guys. Well, hopefully I'll see some of you guys in Boone here in about 5 weeks, give or take. You guys all have a good night. Stay warm during this cold front, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, guys.